My name is Luke Bragg. I am one of the co-founders of Profila, and today we're going to talk a little bit about what I like to call the three pillars of Profila. We are constantly looking for ways to explain both the scope and depth of our ambitions at Profila, not only for us, for the Cardano blockchain community, but the world in general. So we put together just a couple slides today with some kind of new ways of thinking about things. So it's just going to be me today, and we're going to go through not more than a couple slides here, and 20-30 minutes tops. We'll see how long I can rant on this topic. So let's get going. Now, something I mentioned before, we're trying to talk very specifically about Profila, what that is. Profila with a capital P, that's us. That's the Swiss company that we founded, and it's the web platform that is the interface for individuals who use Profila. Now, your Profila, lowercase, is your vault. It's the most accurate, authentic, and valuable information about you. It's yours. It's your asset to decide who's going to get access to it and what they can do with it for your benefit. So that's how we like to talk about these things. I said at the Cardano Summit last fall that we will know we are successful when Profila becomes a noun. You don't talk about zero-party data anymore. You don't talk about personal data. You just talk about your Profila, because it's a much bigger umbrella for all the things you can gather under that umbrella that you can create, maintain, and control as well. So that's how we like to talk about these things. Now, in terms of the three pillars of Profila, let's not waste time with that. The first is your Profila. And this is a repository. We'll get into more detail here in a second here, but it is your repository, your asset to do with as you wish. The second pillar is the data contracting layer. Once you have a Profila, once you have a mature Profila, and someone else wants to have access to parts of it, it requires a data contract layer that obviously we're building on Cardano, smart contracts on Cardano. So that's the second pillar, is this idea of you've got an asset, somebody wants access to it, you need a contract to ensure the proper use of it. And the third is a concept I've been working with in my head a lot. I don't like to talk about features or anything like that. And I started talking about markets and mechanisms, and we'll get into what those definitions are. But basically, it's all the ways you could possibly be using your Profila in the future, not just on our platform, but out in the world. Your Profila travels with you. And again, it is just intelligence about you that someone may need parts of that over the course of time. So these are the three pillars of Profila, and then we're going to kind of go into a little bit more detail on each one of them. So as I said before, and I say often because it's the easiest encapsulation of what a Profila is. It is the most accurate, authentic, and valuable information, insights about you. Now think about what exists in the world today about you. It's based on search histories and tracking and surveillance and what you've liked and what you've hearted on Instagram. It's not particularly accurate. It may not be authentic at all. And it's not particularly valuable, but that's all anyone has access to right now. And therefore, that's what they have to use for all the ads we see and all the marketing we get, is based on information that's just not complete about us because there's no other tool or asset that they can use. And that's a key thing. We don't blame brands. We're not angry at brands for doing the surveillance and tracking and buying information to data brokers, because they're trying to sell products, and that's the only data product that they have to buy. When your Profila is available in the market, why would anyone pay Facebook for bad data about you when they can pay you for the best going forward? So that's why your Profila is this accurate, authentic, and valuable asset that you have. Now, in terms of the pillars of what are the sections of what your Profila can include, the first is your digital ID. Actually, we'll do both of these. Digital ID and wallets are kind of related in some ways. They are, both the digital ID is the facts of your life. It could be proof of your passport or proof of your driver's license or biometric information where you went to university, any kind of health data, things that are really, really sensitive, but they're facts, they prove facts about your life. And your wallet is really the flows. It's crypto or other things. All these things will evolve over time. We like to look at these two blocks as something called bona fides. So bona fides is a feature in Profila that allow you to bring in any digital wallet and any wallet in the future, a digital ID and wallet in the future, and have both those IDs and wallets, but also the credentials and the certificates that they include. So for instance, my Swiss ID may include my residence permit and my rental contract, and anything else that kind of shows that I live and am successful in life in Switzerland. And those could potentially be part of a data contract request in the future. A brand might want to verify that I live in Switzerland to prove that I am a Swiss consumer for their markets. So bona fides will be that feature. Because we don't want to get into the digital ID or wallet business ourselves, we just want to enable you to bring in any wallet or digital ID that you have into your Profila under that very large umbrella that your Profila will be. Next is your personal information, and this is really where we got started with Profila, is the metadata, the things that describe you, the things that explain who you are, and obviously the details of your address and phone number, things like that, but also demographics, orientation, marital status. These are all things that could potentially be valuable to a service or a purveyor of products that you want that may help them put you in a more accurate box to market to you smarter with less clutter in your life. And we'll be expanding this as we go on to include more things. And of course, not just this pillar, but anything, all of these are voluntary. Your profile is yours. What you want to include in it is up to you. If there's parts you think are too sensitive, that's just information you won't capture in your Profila. You may find that it's more valuable to do that. And of course, as you gain trust in Profila and know that no one has access to anything about you without your consent, without the transparency, without the revocability, you'll want to put more and more information in your Profila because you'll find ways that will be valuable for you, both in the web and also out in the world. The second part is psychographics, and this is really what is missing from any data source that any brand has access to, because again, they're assuming based on what you've done on the internet and making assumptions that usually aren't very good. Well, we want people to capture their own psychographics in self-discovery quizzes that we're building on the platform. With each answer is just another block in understanding what kind of traveler you are, or what's your fashion sense, or all these things about you that only come from you expressing your sentiment and preferences specifically about these and many other categories and topics that we have. So this is really where Profila starts differentiating itself from anything else that's out there, because psychographics now either require a focus group or market research or stalking online, but that's not very accurate. So that's why our goal is that Profila will create this movement where individuals now own the best data about themselves, and it will start to slowly chip away at the existing model, which simply is inefficient and ineffective. And our model really puts people at the forefront of their own sovereignty, their own agency, their own power as consumers and as human beings. And the last part, which we'll be getting into once after we launch, is you also produce a lot of data on other people's services, whether it's Apple Music or TripAdvisor or anything like that, where you're using their services. Well, the data you produce should be yours. My Spotify behavior, my Spotify playlists, and what I've listened to should be mine. I should be able to have access to that. So what we want to do in the future is allow you to sync up any first-party data from, you can see the example list there, and that combined with your psychographics, your expressed sentiments, now produce an even greater data source than ever exists. Imagine if I've answered hundreds of questions about my music preferences, and I'm bringing in my behavior, my observed behavior from Apple Music and Spotify, combined, now that there's nothing better in the world for all the organizations that may want to understand my musical tastes, whether it's concert venues or agents or artists. That's the best source of data on that topic of anywhere. So, this is a very, very large umbrella that your Profila will accommodate. And as I said before, what you include is up to you. But as you figure out all the ways that this is going to help you in your daily life, you're going to want to include as much as you can, knowing that no one has access to this without your consent, even us. I don't have access to anyone's Profila as a co-founder. Our architecture is designed so there's a separation between you and the control you have and us just kind of running a commercial company and running a platform that is enabling you to use your Profila for your own value. So this will greatly expand as we go on. Our roadmap is very ambitious and very robust, and it'll all be with the same mindset of what information, what insights about you can you capture in different ways and bring that into your Profila for your value. So that's the first pillar of Profila, is you and your Profila. The second part, and I'll focus a little bit more on the current state of this, is the data contracting layer. When a brand subscribes to you, when you get a subscription offer from a brand, it's going to say, okay, we'd like this kind of information, this kind of metadata, and these categories of psychographics from you. And you have the ability to either accept or decline. If you decline, they don't have access to your information. Simple as that. If you accept it, now you've got a data subscription. That's a smart contract in the Cardano blockchain that details not any of your personal information. We never put personal information on the blockchain, but it says, this entity and this entity have agreed to this contract for this amount of time, for this amount of remuneration, and that contract can be revoked at any time. So that's something else I said at the summit, was that, Profila, we couldn't have done this 15 years ago because the technology that will enable the trust that we require simply wasn't mature. Now it's becoming more and more mature. And we've got the great news with the Cardano fork from yesterday. So blockchain is the technology required to make these sort of relationships work. And Cardano is the blockchain that has the mentality and the mindset of decentralization and privacy that was perfect for what we're trying to do. So your contracting layer, for the MVP is what we just talked about. But in the future, we know as Profila evolves, and this may come from the markets and mechanisms, we know that there'll be different kinds of contracts that we'll need to integrate into this. It could be more things that are short term. Blockchain is really unlimited with what it can do for us in the future, and it will come from what demand we see in the future. So that's the second pillar of Profila, is the data contracting layer. First is your Profila, it's you. Then it's the way for you to share it through consensual, transparent, and revocable data contracts. And the third is what I like to call markets and mechanisms. And this is all the glorious ways your Profila, lowercase b, will enable you now and in the future. Let's define our terms so we're on the same page here. So a market, and we live in a market economy, so this should make complete sense. A market is a place, physical or virtual, where two or more parties come to voluntarily exchange value for value. If you go to the movies, that's a market. You've decided to pay for a ticket because there's a movie you want to see and someone who provides that. If you're in a retail store, if you're buying things online, these are all markets that now can be seen as slightly inefficient because of privacy and such. And we look to improve that going forward. And a mechanism in our mind is a collection of features that enables the efficient and effective operation of a market for the benefit of both sides. That's really what a market economy should be about. So if you go to a farmer's market on the weekends, the mechanisms are a physical place. The mechanisms are the credit card machine for you to pay for objects. It could be the promotions that you see that the market is working that Saturday or whatever. It's the things that support the markets. And mechanisms can be about improving information. It could be improving trust. It could be that contracting layer. So in many ways, the contracting layer is a mechanism, but such a core one that we see it as separate. It's all the things that make the markets more efficient, effective, and valuable for both sides to come together and exchange value for value. Now, the first scenario for markets and mechanisms are customer relationships. That's our MVP. That's what we've built. That's our model, but we're trying to solve a general problem, not a specific problem. Customer relationships is one example of the many markets that we want to get into, and we're designing things and having our mindsets that support that. So in that case, this scenario is the brands you love, their desire to get to know you better, to produce more relevant communication to you. In many ways, it's a robust two-way loyalty program. That's what a data contract says. Okay, I've got something valuable, both my data and also my wallet, my purchasing power. You want access to that. I want to be loyal to you as a brand because I like you, and you want to be loyal to me by giving me more relevant offers, exclusive offers, things like that. And also a mechanism that we've built for this market is metronome, which we've talked about a lot. And that's the ability for an individual to control how often a brand can communicate with you. And this is a feature that simply does not exist in the world in any platform because their models are to maximize interactions. And our model is to improve the value of each interaction. So if a brand is sending you too much on Profila, you can dial them down and it's enforceable in the contract and you have full control over that. That's a mechanism that not only works for this scenario, but will also be applied to other scenarios in the future. And of course, all of this is based on a consensual data contract. So that's essentially is the MVP of Profila. Brands you love, better relationships, better communication, exclusive offers, exclusive content, so on and so forth. And that's just one template for how we can imagine markets and mechanisms going in the future. And we have no interest in being a walled garden. So there'll be markets and mechanisms that are not under our control. You can simply use our data contracting layer and of course, your consent to get access to your Profila. So again, the future scenarios and ambitions are almost endless. And we understand that if we do this right and we earn your trust, that there will be new kinds of relationships in the future that simply can't exist today because it doesn't have the trust, it doesn't have the mechanisms to support that. We know there will be markets that will be created through what we're doing. Again, they can't exist now because of the lack of trust and lack of the mechanisms to make them work. We're going to enable those, whether they're our ideas or someone else's. We absolutely want to enable individuals to put a skin on top of Profila as a platform for a different purpose. We can get into some of those. So any market that requires trust, consent, value, transparency, agency, privacy, that could be a possible area for us in the future. So you can imagine streaming platforms. I use a lot of streaming platforms and some of them are supported by ads. I never see a relevant ad. Either because VPN, they think I'm someplace else, or they just have no idea about me. They have no information about me besides my email and maybe a few other things. But imagine, this could be YouTube, this could be Paramount Plus, this could be whatever. Imagine if you could link your Profila to that platform. Again, data contract that enables that, and that platform now has more information than they had before to match you with the ads that are actually relevant for you. I think we'll be astonished that nobody thought of this before, and we accepted these ads that just simply had nothing to do with me. Any retail experience, and this gets into a little bit about the Profila in the real world. Imagine if you could scan your phone when you enter a shop, let's say it's a clothing shop, and on a short-term contract, that shop now has a sense of your sizes, your fashion sense, or maybe you're shopping for someone else and you've gotten access to parts of their Profila. it can now match you with what's in that store. It can say, well, actually, the things you're looking for are in the back right. Or, hey, you're a great customer, we're going to give you an immediate discount on something. That context that your Profila gives to a store that you're in can provide them many, many ways to delight you, to serve you, and to stop wasting your time with things that are not relevant for you. Restaurant menus. Imagine in a restaurant they have got a QR code for their menu, and when you scan it via Profila, it would cross-reference their menu with things like, is this good for vegetarians? Does this have nuts? Does this have dairy? And cross-referencing it with your allergy and diet surveys that you filled in and are part of your Profila, and then providing you with a menu of the things you can eat in that place. Because I think everybody with any kind of food allergies knows they've got to do two things. They've got to figure out the coding of that menu, or they've got to ask a lot of questions, especially if you have some sort of allergy that you can talk about. But if the menu can be cross-referenced with what you've stated is important for you in terms of your diet or allergies, then you can simply be provided with a menu that's right for you. So friends at dinner could scan the code and they would all look at each other's phones, and everybody's menu is slightly different because it's only containing the things that you may like and the things that you can eat. A dating site. I mean, think about a mature Profila of yours that has more intimate details about your sentiments and preferences for life and ambitions and such than any place else. Dating sites now make you try to enter all this information or are guided in giving this information, but nothing's going to be more complete than your Profila. So imagine a dating site, which would just be a skin on top of Profila that enables them to match you with somebody really compatible on a much deeper level. This goes back, just-in-time KYC goes back to the idea of bona fides. So imagine the future, you're on your phone at any place in the world, in any situation, you may need to verify that you are, the facts of your life. You need to verify that I live in Switzerland, or that I have health insurance, or whatever that is, or I have a functional bank account. And someone may need to KYC me in that moment, and I can provide whatever bona fides I need to prove, whatever I need to prove in that moment. And it could be where it's not saying, okay, here's the kind of visa Luke has. It's just, no, the Swiss government is certified that Luke has a valid work and residence permit for Switzerland. We'd like to destroy KYC in the future because there's no reason you should have to go to a KYC process over and over again for different reasons when it's all part of your bona fides. Smart websites. This is one of the earliest things we talk about. Imagine if you're on TripAdvisor or even a specific site like a Radisson site, and you have in the past, you've linked your Profila to that site, providing certain details, your travel profile, maybe your home airport, whatever. Now that site can no longer have any excuse for being a dumb website and just presenting how they see the world. They now have the ability to cater that website to you. So if Radisson knows what cities I've gone to or what my aspirations are for trips in the future, they can put those offers and those destinations front and center, saving me time, saving me energy, where I don't have to navigate through their site hoping I find what I'm looking for. That's a very inefficient way. I think we'll marvel how dumb websites are now compared to how smart they could be if you inject your Profila and all the intelligence that comes with it into their website. Getting into more kind of sensitive data, both with clinical trials and medical research, our goal is to earn the trust that you don't mind putting in information about chronic diseases or genetic information as part of your Profila. And organizations may say, well, we want to subscribe to that because we're doing research. We're doing genetic research, or we are looking for patients for a clinical trial. And have that smart matchmaking. So this is an example of something that is so sensitive for individuals. They don't want that out in the world, that once we earn the trust that this works as well, this is as robust as anything else in Profila in terms of the protection of your information, and also the market for doing these sort of things, the costs would go down and the outputs would go up based on individuals consensually allowing their information to be used. Last is geomarketing. When geomarketing first started to be talked about, I think everybody had the same response, that it was creepy. The idea that I'm walking down the street and it knows enough to give me an offer for a store in the next block, because again, the mechanisms to make that not creepy just weren't there. But if I've consented to a specific shop, that when I'm close by, it may give me an immediate coupon. That's smart, and it's not creepy because I've told them and I've consented to them that I'm interested in these sort of things. And so that will, I think, unleash geomarketing because it leaves behind the creepy factor and just provides the value that individuals can get from that just-in-time offering or whatever in the future. So this is just a small sampling. We could have made 5 or 6 slides that went into different examples. These are different markets that require, that are improved by having access to your Profila. And a data contracting layer will be one of the mechanisms, but there'll be many others that enable this market, enable the trust required to do these sort of things that now just don't work as well as they should have because it doesn't have a good source of data and you're the best source of your data. And it doesn't provide the trust that's required for people to say, yeah, I'll buy into that. I'll do that. And lastly, everybody's talking about AI agents. And I'll tell you the story I told my colleagues that I was writing a prompt for a ChatGPT, and it was about finding a Alaskan cruise provider for my mother. And so I was typing in facts about her that obviously would be relevant for the kind of cruises that she wants to do. And I wrote a paragraph or two, and I thought, God, this is, in the future, this is going to be silly. You're not going to do this because your Profila is your prompt. Your Profila is all the intelligence you want to inject into a prompt to get what you want. And as we move to AI agents that are obviously less have less interface like ChatGPT, imagine an AI agent that is going to match you with travel packages, package holidays. Well, you shouldn't have to tell that agent hundreds of things about yourself that that are the things they need to know to match you correctly, or else their matching is just going to be poor. So again, in the future, there should be no need to teach an AI agent what is in your head and what's in your heart. And that's not needed because it's all in your Profila. So an AI agent, let's say, again, we'll use the example of a travel company. They would simply require a very short data contract that says, okay, we need access to some of your metadata, your home airport, and your travel and shopping and activity parts of your Profila. And they can use that to smart matchmake with the things that they offer. So again, this will be a short-term contract that the AI agent would require. It could also operate in a zero-knowledge environment where both your profile information and what they're offering is in a black box. It's matched up, and light only leaves the side that points toward you because maybe you want 4 offers for something. So that's a possibility in the future. We've done research with the University of Madrid around zero knowledge. We're very, very excited. It's simply another step up from the data protection that we're going to offer anyway. And this is an option for true zero knowledge. And of course, afterwards, none of your data stays with the agent. So they provide you a service. They're trying to sell you something. You're giving access in the short term to real insights about you so they can use that to provide more relevant offers and information. And when you're done, it's wiped clean. So I think the interesting thing about AI agents, how fast it's come aboard, how I've tried some out, is that the way we were seeing the world immediately accommodated things like AI agents. And that's why I'm so proud and also happy about how we've structured our thinking and our technology and our platform, in that the next great idea that comes out will most likely require very good and accurate personal information about yourself to enable whatever that market is. And Profila is designed for that. We don't have to retool anything because it's just part of our basic philosophy for how things go. And I think the last few months of AI agents has been a good example of that. So that we're built for speed, and we're built for long term. And so those are the three pillars of Profila. I hope this has been a good explanation, a useful explanation. We've had a challenge over the years that, as someone once said, this is a big freaking idea that Profila has, and it can change so much. And the ability to explain it in ways that people can start to see it in their own lives, how their Profila is going to empower their own lives. So our three pillars, again, are your Profila, the most accurate, authentic, and valuable information about you. The data contracting layer gives you a mechanism and trust and the ability to license parts of your Profila as need be with your consent and your revocability. And then the market mechanisms. The first of ours is customer relationships, which is what we talk about constantly, but the future markets that will be empowered by this incredible information about yourself, and millions and tens of millions and hundreds of millions of people having their own Profilas, and the mechanisms to make those markets very efficient and effective. And that's what we'll be focusing on. And as I said before, those markets and mechanisms may not come from us. They may be something that is actually created completely outside of Profila, and they just are using the data contracting layer and obviously access to your Profila under the terms that we're setting to make sure that their behavior is exactly what it requires. So the first two are really kind of foundational for what we're trying to do, and the third we know is as expansive as anything we can imagine. We've got a good first example that's people see how marketing is done now and realize it's not very efficient or effective. So we're trying to attack that first, but it's only the first of many markets and mechanisms that we expect to get into in the future. So that's it for me. My gosh, this was a whole half an hour. Who knew? That is all for me. My name is Luke Bragg again, co-founder of Profila. I hope this pushes your knowledge of Profila a little bit more forward. And I don't know if there are any questions, but if you have any questions for me or anyone else, you can reply on the tweets or on YouTube, and we'll get back to you. We love talking about Profila. We're very proud of the vision that we have, and we are just about to explode.